Hello, 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 DebtFreeDegree beloveds. Y'all, I am so excited about who we have on for today. And you just are in sometimes in these groups and everybody's like, have you met Phil? Have you met Phil? Have you met Phil? And y'all, I finally got to meet him and he is better than advertised. It's rare that we say that, but he is better than advertised. So I am delighted to have you here, Pontification with a Pro. Phil Vetrano. So tell us a little bit about you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Rouse, for having me. And that was a warm, kind introduction for sure. And I'd like to thank all those people who were recommending me to you. I'm so glad we met.
Me too. Me too. Me too. Me too. So tell us a little bit about you, a little bit about your practice, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. So I was in the world of IT management for a long time. And in 2014, I was with my son at a guidance counselor meeting. And the guidance counselor, with other parents in the room, said it's never too early to start planning for college. So I have a great deal of project management skills, research skills, analytical skills. So I was excited to hear that because there's a lot of planning involved in college planning and preparation. And so I dove in head first, helping my son to research and do the analysis necessary to help him find his best fit college, where he could academically thrive and socially thrive. And that was an exercise that was pretty significant. It took me 2.5 years to do this exercise with him. And I saw how much work was involved. I saw how many skills that I was utilizing. And I noticed that, oh my goodness, this is really unfair
Yeah.
for us as a society to expect students to figure this out by themselves. And if they are doing it and they've been doing it for a long time, the stats aren't really good for them. And so a lot of high schools don't share those stats with the students. 42% of students who go to college will graduate with a degree in 4 years, but that means 58% are not.
That's right.
Yep. And they're spending a wealth of money hoping that this all works out. And 42% will not graduate in 6 years. So that's the unfortunate part. So 58% will go to college, they'll graduate within 6 years.
Mhm.
But 42% don't. That we're talking millions of students across the United States.
That's right.
So we are not setting up our kids for success.
Yes.
That the expression, and that policy, no kid left behind, great. No kid left behind,
Yeah.
but no setting them up for success for after 12th grade. That
Right.
should have been the message.
Right. Right. Exactly. Well, you and I are so aligned that there's a million different directions just based on what you just said that I want to go. One of the things I really want to talk about is this alignment piece, this right fit piece. And I think you said it started with your son, but this is what you help all of your clients do is I'm going to paraphrase it and then you correct me in your answer. But it was like, I want to find a place where they academically thrive and socially thrive. And those are often silos. There are often times that people will choose a school because I want to, do D1 sports and I want to be a part of, that kind of atmosphere, when in actuality, socially, that's really not necessarily where they might thrive. Like they might want to attend that, but that may not be the school where they want to go versus academics. And, for some people heading into college, academics are by far on the back burner, to the social. And so you, though, bring them both together. So can you talk a little bit about that and what that looks like in working with you?
Yeah, so this may be news to folks because they've never heard it before. There's over 100 variables associated with this decision. And so, mainstream, they have 10 to 15 variables that is commonly asked, but it doesn't get to the root of the some of the variables. So just because you're filtering between a city, a suburb, or a another type of town related school, or it's just the rural America and that's all there is the school. Yeah, that's one component.
Mhm.
But there's too many other variables that you're missing here. And not every city is a good fit for every student.
Mhm.
Not every good rural place is good for every student. And
Mhm.
so, and what it's overwhelming because there's over 1,300 colleges that have at least 2,000 undergrads or more. And
Mhm.
so students don't know how to narrow this down except for some of the tools that they've provided, but it's limited. It has nothing to do with the academic success of the schools. Nothing, not even close.
Mhm.
They could use some like niche.com and there's other ranking components, but it has nothing to do with that student.
Mhm.
It has everything to do with popularity
Mhm.
and there's no deep dive on analysis associated with all 1,300 colleges to
Mhm.
ensure that this college is for your student.
Mhm.
It is generalized and it's based on reputation,
Mhm.
and it's really not digging deep into the weeds to understand
Mhm.
what the programs are about and what they're offering.
Mhm.
And every school has, just like every individual, every school is different. It's an organization. If you've ever worked in an organization,
Right.
did you ever go to an organization exactly like that organization? Not a chance. There's different leadership.
Mhm.
And every school, college has different leadership at every
I've even
department.
worked for a university that had 5 different campuses. And each of the campuses had a different energy and a different, yes. So mhm.
Great example, right? It's a different vibe, a different culture, and some students will find their way within those five campuses to say which one's my best. But that at least they had the option.
Mhm.
You don't get that for most schools that you could choose between five campuses and see which one's right for you. I actually went to a school that had three campuses,
Uh-huh.
and the first one was, and I didn't know what I didn't know.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And I did not make a good decision from a college perspective because I didn't have the knowledge and know-how,
Mhm.
and no one showed me. And that's one of the things that I share with parents and students. You've never done this before.
Right. Right.
And anything in life, you've never done something before, you're not going to get it right the first time.
Yeah,
Unless you're surrounded with people who know
that's
and have
right.
gone down this journey
Yes.
and they're asking the right questions.
Yes, yes. And Phil, it strikes me. So for a part of my career, I was a professor for pre-service teachers. So students who wanted to eventually become K-12 educators had to take these 3 particular courses before they applied to the School of Education. So I was the professor for those. And one of the things that I found is because many college students are good students overall. High school K-12 was a great experience for them. And then they're going into education and they think that every student is going to be a great student like they were a great student. And that's not the case because it doesn't necessarily filter out that way. And so I think the same thing is for college planning. It's so pervasive that everybody goes to college, which that's a different conversation because I don't believe that. I suspect you don't believe that every single student must get a 4-year degree. And also because it's like this human algorithm of information, well, then there's something wrong with me that I don't get it. When in actuality, it's what you just said. It's not that there's something wrong with you, student, or something wrong with you, parents. Number one, if you were in college, how many decades ago was I in college? It's changed a bit, like drastically, like almost unrecognizable from when I was in college. And also, we have so much more information and folks like you. So talk a little bit. I really, one of the things, and sometimes I get off on tangents. One of the things I really want to make sure you talk about is how to work with you. And then I really want to talk to you about your internships because that, of all the bazillion things that you do that are phenomenal, that is the thing that I have never, and I've been in and around higher ed for over 35 years. I've never heard internships the way you talk about them. So, can you talk about overall how to work with you, but then specifically about the internships?
Yeah, so with the pandemic, it really helped business boom for me because now I'm virtual and I don't have to worry about traveling, or the student doesn't have to worry about traveling. The parents don't have to worry about traveling. And I've had students in South America, I've had students in Canada, I've had students in Texas, so I'm in New York. So I could provide any support for any student associated with any US-based school because I have access to a wealth of data for the U.S. colleges. And I do not have that same wealth of data across other countries. However, I have the wealth of knowledge of what questions to ask to determine and align those variables that are really important to that student, because I treat them like they are the CEO of their career, which is an
Ooh,
objective view.
let's just land right there. Yes. You are the CEO of your career. Love it. Yes. Thank you, Phil.
You're welcome. And just to share, if people are working with me, they know my objectivity and that I'm not persuading anyone to do anything. I'm getting them the data that they need to make an informed decision because I want the student to know what they're signing up to. And in order to know what they're signing up to, they've got to be asking or counting on somebody to ask a wealth of questions that they didn't think about because they didn't know any better because they didn't go through this process. They haven't gone to a class that is the history of college lessons. That's a gap. There's a huge blind spot for parents, huge blind spot for students to know here's what could go wrong
Mhm.
at a college of when they're not aligned with the goals that they may have
Mhm.
and or the goals that they don't have
Mhm.
because they haven't vetted it to know, is this school going to support me
That's
in
right.
accomplishing my goals and dreams? That is a mindset as opposed to just go, I hear this is a good school. My parents tell me it's a good school. I hear that it's a good school, and that's the extent of the analysis, is because we've heard that this is a good school, but there's no evidence or proof that this is a good school for you.
Mhm.
And that's where I'm sharing the variables with the students and I'm helping them out. And so, internships, you mentioned internships. So you want to hear something really unique.
Yes.
So
Yes.
so
Please
I
share it.
yeah, so I'm not a genius, but I've come up with ge
So
ingenious
close.
ideas. What's that?
You're so close. If you're not, you're like right there, sir.
So I always am a problem solver. And one of the problems that we have in society is that there's not a lot of opportunities for students to get internships, to get jobs. And so this is the challenge. They have to be proactively going after this. Most students are not being taught that particular noun and
Yeah.
adjective to be proactive, to
Mhm.
go after what they want.
Mhm.
And it's something of a mindset. So I proactively identified, okay, let me offer any student an internship in any field that they want. And no organization has the best interests of every student in the United States, in the world.
Right.
They have their best interest for the company.
Yeah.
This is how we operate. It's an agenda minded profession, right? We have a mission, we have a goal. You're in an organization, you're not going to go above and beyond for the general public. You're
Mhm.
just not. You don't know how to do that.
Mhm.
Why? Because no one showed you either.
Right. Right.
So I've come up with a method, and only because that virtual world has gone mainstream, that people are utilizing Zoom
Mhm.
and meetups and Google meetups. I can't remember that. Google Meet is
Yeah. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
yes. So all this technology to do face to face anywhere you are, which means that your 15-year-old, your 14-year-old, your 16-year-old, 17, they don't have to worry about transportation.
Right.
All they need is
Right.
a computer and internet, and they can proactively go after anything that they want and learn from other adults and other professionals to help them on their way to provide incredible guidance and opportunity. And that's what I'm bringing to them is that we're working on assignments that are geared towards them. And all I ask is that they are the pioneer of that activity. And I will group them with other students who have yet started that activity. And I'm counting on them to educate the student that follows on
Yeah.
what they learned about the field that they are interested in.
I mean, truly, truly revolutionary. Truly.
Thanks.
I mean, the minute I heard that, I was like, oh, I have got to share this with my community because it also is so, obviously, my community knows that everything that I do is rooted and grounded in love. Let others voluntarily evolve, let ourselves voluntarily evolve, and also understanding that we're all interconnected. And you perfectly demonstrate that because it's not only helping student A and B, but then they're helping future students, and then it's just going to grow. So it's like you're Johnny Appleseed, so you're planting a seed and a seed and a seed, and you're not going to reap a seed, you're going to reap a harvest because that's what happens when we plant seeds, right? And so, yeah, I'll just give you a new name, Phil Johnny Appleseed Vetrano.
Excellent. Thank you. And what's fascinating is it's the taking care of each other,
Yeah,
helping each other,
yeah.
and giving opportunities to each other.
Mhm,
Instead of this don't talk to strangers
mhm,
concept,
mhm.
we're saying talk to as many professionals as you can.
Exactly.
See which ones are going to open up the door, see which ones care about you,
Mhm,
see which ones are going to help you.
mhm,
And the ones that are going to stand out, who are going to help you,
mhm.
inadvertently, they're going to want to go push it forward
Yes,
and pay it forward,
yes,
and also see that this is the mentoring model.
yes,
This is the future that
yes.
they have because they can be mentoring younger students because they don't think they're experts. Like I've been in classrooms. I ask them, how many experts are in this room?
Uh-huh.
They'll say two, the teacher and myself. I say, look at yourselves. You
Yeah,
guys are all experts because you've lived life. No matter how many, you're 15 years old, you have 15 years of experience.
yeah,
If I bring in all these sixth graders, fifth graders, fourth graders, I'm sure there's going to be a wealth of knowledge that you're going to have to
mhm.
help them be more successful than they are now
Right,
and prepare for seventh, eighth, ninth, and 10th grade, 11th grade, because you've already lived it.
right.
You know, you have knowledge, insights to help them. And it's only because you've lived it. And guess what? Adults can't provide those insights
Mhm,
because we weren't in those classes
mhm.
taking it with Mr. Smith in social studies class. Only you have that knowledge to share this with the ninth grade, the eighth grader, however it is, to say how great it is, and and then also what to do, what not to do.
Yes.
Um, but if they don't see that as part of their expertise.
Mhm.
And then like I'm not an expert in their with their parents or their house. They're experts in this because they live there and they know more about their house than anybody else outside of their house. And
Mhm.
so I'm using expertise as something general. It's like who's going to pay you for your expertise.
Right.
Okay, not many people are going to pay you about learning about your house or your parents, but maybe some, people who want to access your parents.
Right.
They
Right.
may be willing to
Right.
pay on
Right.
the dark web, but
Right.
they could start a business.
Mhm, mhm,
They could start a tutoring business. They could start a support group for younger students.
mhm.
Parents would pay for other students who are entrepreneurs who are looking to help and guide their kids to make better decisions. This is something they could tap into
Exactly. Exactly.
and or do it voluntarily
Yeah.
and then share that on the college application to help them
Yeah.
stand out
Yeah.
of what they're doing. And guess what? They'll get it. They'll get like, oh, this is what helping each other is all about.
Yeah. Phil, I could honestly talk to you for 5 hours, and I don't know that my community necessarily wants a 5 hour interview, but I could do it because you're so amazing. One of the things that you've said repeatedly, and I'd love for you to do a little bit deeper dive into it, is mindset. It's a mindset. It's a mindset, and I too am saying that particularly for a debt-free degree, because if you what happens, so I will say I can map any degree completely debt-free, and then somebody will push back and go, blah, 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 blah. You didn't do that debt free. And I will push back to them and say, your end in mind is not a debt free degree. Your end in mind is I want this niche degree from this hoot to do school, and I need you to help me come up with $55,000 in the next 3 months so that and so that mindset of debt-free degree, it's a hard one to grasp. How do you teach mindset to your clients?
Yeah, so goals are important. And that's how I develop strategies to accomplish those goals. So if a parent said to me, I'm looking for something very specific, like that's the challenge, is I want to go to Princeton University. I want my son to go to Princeton University, and I want them to go tuition free. And I want them, I want everything in this world for my child to be successful. And so I will share with them we have lots of different strategies to accomplish this, but
Mhm.
is an effort to prepare and go after that. But I challenge the desire of Princeton and say, if they don't have your son's major, why are we making this investment
Mhm.
in time and preparation?
Mhm.
And or hey, did you they most people don't know this. And
Mhm.
I'm going to share this with your audience today. There's a volume of students that graduate with a degree, a specific degree at each school. Those volumes could be as low as zero. I've seen the data. There's a lot, the colleges brag, we have 250 majors.
Mhm.
They're not bragging that we have 50 students graduating with all 250 degrees
Mhm.
each.
Mhm.
They're not bragging that. And
Mhm.
so I would challenge anyone, do
Mhm.
you know the volume of number of students who are graduating with that specific degree?
Excellent.
And do you know their trajectory?
Mhm. 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 That's
Because
excellent.
the colleges will plant some seeds
That's right.
in some of those star students, but they don't have testimonials of every student graduating with that particular degree and seeing the metrics associated with those students. So
Yeah.
again, a blind spot for parents, for students, they'll make assumptions.
Mhm.
It has their major, it must mean that it's great
Yeah.
because it's a great school.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Phil, you are a love and a light, and I am so, so, so thankful that our paths cross. I really appreciate your time today. For those of you that are watching, just know that on the day we recorded this, Phil celebrated his birthday yesterday. So just know that we're sending you so much love, and we appreciate your professionalism and your expertise in this field because I think as changes continue to happen in higher education, we're going to need you more and more and more and more. And so, for folks that say, "I want information about Phil," I will share your information. Do you work with students who maybe only need the internship component, or maybe only need the metrics component, or is it all comprehensive? Are there different ways that folks can work with you?
Yes, I'm very flexible and open to support any student in anything. I've been asked, listen, my daughter needs help with the essay. That's all we need help with. She knows what colleges she wants to apply to.
Mm.
She just needs help with the essay, and then that's the only focus that I do. I
Okay.
don't do the deep best fit analysis for her. They just want the essay component. They know that I have that service, and they could choose. Just like we're Americans, we have a freedom of choice.
Yeah.
They could choose whatever service that they're looking for. But at the end of the day, I want all students to be successful.
Yeah.
So I will be happy to service a parent and a student. And there's sometimes I'm only servicing the parent. The parent gets this quickly with information. Students take a little longer
Mm-hmm.
to digest the information I'm sharing with them
Mm-hmm.
because their brains haven't fully developed yet and they haven't thought about all these things and
Mm-hmm.
they're in the thinking mode of when I'm asking them 43 questions of what their goals are.
Yeah.
And it's they're not deep and wide
Mm-hmm.
as an adult is thinking about, and they'll be adults are quicker to answer questions than students. Students need more time
Mm-hmm.
and they need to understand fully what it is the question means to
Right.
help them.
Right. Right. Because they're still figuring out themselves. So, yeah. Well, Phil, like I said, you are a love and a light. Thank you, thank you, thank you for sharing your wise wisdom with our community. And I just know this is, our paths are just going to continue to cross because I love what you're doing. So,
And thank you, Dr. Rouse, for all that you're doing and getting these great messages out to your audience.
thanks, everybody. Okay, that was Pontification with a Pro with Phil Vetrano, and we will be back next time with a new guest. Thanks, everybody. Love y'all. Bye bye.
Thanks.